Hey guys, how is everybody doing? I hope they're doing good. I hope y'all are doing well today. Well, just got done with my hike and doing my push-up stuff, and I love going out, doing my hikes and walks. The differentiate apparently, a walk is just a walk. A hike is when a backpack ends up on your back. So I think I've been going for hikes. But the reason I love them, especially at night, because around here, anything after 10 o'clock, well, actually, I think it's almost 9 o'clock now, it's almost pitch black dark. There's no noise, there's barely any people out. So it's just there's just this opportunity to hear you, because there's no noise, unless you make the noise yourself. You know, you start putting on death metal music, then yeah, you probably ain't gonna hear much about yourself. But when you get quiet and you allow silence to take over, it becomes really, really amazing. And I really cherish those moments. But one reason I was wanting to make this video too was to just something that I was contemplating when I was walking around. Well, a couple things. One is to address, and this is really for people that are kind of like me. People like me are what considered to be like ADD people, hyperactive people, people who are very excitable. In other words, you're all excited about something and you're telling all these people and they're looking at you like, okay, that's not, I don't get what you're so excited about or why you're so whatever. And then you get on the nerves and then they kind of like sometimes don't really want, oh God, here he comes again. And if you're one of those people, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're one of those people who's not one of those people, but one of those people who does that, we see that. Yeah, we understand. But the reason I wanted to address this is it's not a bad thing. It really is not a bad thing. If you've got this hyperactive, if you want to call it hyperactive, I don't know if I want to call it that, or ADD or whatever you want to call it. I want to call it an excitement for life. I think people who feel this way, who can find like the smallest amount of joy in the smallest amount of things. If I see, I think I videotaped, I don't know if I put it on here, but I videotaped just some ants. They were just busting their rear ends, carrying these sticks around. And but I smiled because I'm like, dude, they're working like a team. They're getting these pieces over here and over there, and they're just going back, doing what they're doing. And they're just doing what God created them to do. And they were just, I don't know, it was just really, really cool to watch. And then I've posted some pictures of a mountain that's out in front of our barracks out here. And 2 days in a row, because of how the light hits it, you see different images in it. I mean, the one I posted, there was a gorilla, and then I looked again and there was a wolf beneath it. Other people saw elephants and they saw snakes. Then I posted one today, and now I see a panther or a mountain lion or a lion, whichever way you want to call it. I mean, huge. And then also I saw a turtle. But that stuff excites me. When it starts to rain, it excites me when I'm looking over these mountains and the clouds roll in and the light reflects a certain ways and this slight darkness shows, but there's light shining through. It excites me. I get all whatever inside. A lightning storm, it's like, God's fireworks for the sky that's completely natural and you don't have to pay for it. You just sit there and watch what's going on. I don't think that that's weird, and I don't think it's abnormal. I think that actually, spiritually, I think that you're touching something that maybe other people aren't touching. Maybe a part of you feels the Creator in what you're seeing, and it brings you this incomprehensible joy and happiness because you don't know how to lay hold of it to explain it right, but all you know is that it makes you smile, it makes you laugh, and you have like this little secret joy. But then when you try to share it with people that aren't on that don't have that same mindset, then, it almost is like they draw energy or they try to pull you down from where you're at because you shouldn't be so excitable. Well, you know what? There's a lot of words I could use for that, but bump that. You know what I'm saying? There's this You got to be you. And I don't care what that you is. I don't care if it is hyperactive. I don't care if it's non-hyperactive, sedentary, uh, uh, media, whatever. Who you are is who you are at the moment, and that's where you're supposed to be. You're going to grow from it. You're going to change from it, but you can't beat yourself up for who you are. And I don't care if you're 3 years old, and I don't care if you're 95 or 98 or however old you are. You can't let people dictate who you are because of how they think you should be. Because how they think you should be is how they think they should be. And I don't want to be you. I don't want you to be me. I want to be me so that I can experience all that the Creator has done to make me become who I'm supposed to be. I want to experience everything. I just posted a thing that said, "Don't run from life, run into life." You see what I'm saying? You don't run away from the things that are causing you, that make you uncomfortable or cause you fear. You run headstrong right into them. If you ever seen movies of a boat that is encountering very, very high waves, they don't run from the wave. They don't go sideways at the wave. They go straight at it so they can go right over the top of it and survive. Because if they go sideways, they'll get capsized. If they try to outrun it, they'll get capsized because the water will overcome them. So the very mountains and the very waves in your life that seem unsurmountable and seem too high, too strong to encounter, you have to face them head on. And when you do, you will conquer them because that's how we're designed. We were never designed to be fearful and runners. You know, it's one thing to be a runner with your feet because it brings you joy. There's a man that, and I forgot his name now, but there's a movie called Chariots of Fire. And this is way back then. This is over 100 years ago. And he ran in the Olympics, but he refused to step away from the Sabbath in the Olympics. But that's not really the point. The point is that when he would run and people thought he just looked so weird the way that he ran. But then once he started to kick it in, his head would fly back and he would just run with all of his might. And he said when he ran, he said he felt the glory or the power of God, which what that means is that his spirit connected with everything, with the creator of the universe, because he is in me and I'm in him. So he connected in such a way that his body couldn't contain this joy that he was feeling. Do you realize that your lives can be that way? But you have to make a conscious choice to stop listening to the hype that people tell you of who you are, what they want from you, what they expect from you, because you know what? Typically what people expect from you is what they expect out of themselves. And things they don't like in you are the very things they don't like in themselves, but they put it on you. And you know what? It's straight up foolishness. I put another post up earlier that says, "I'm not your judge, I'm not your prosecutor, I'm not your jury, I'm your friend." And that's all I want to be. I don't want to be in anybody's life to become their judicial system. That's not my job. That's not your job. Nobody is judge and jury over me. Only one can do that. And well, two, me and my creator have the ability to judge me in what I do and how I do, what I think, and everything else, because that is the true standard. But having another person throw out how they think I should be because that's how they think they should be, well, that's just straight up foolishness. If you want to look in a mirror, go into your bedroom and just stare at yourself and then figure yourself out. But don't project it out on me. So all I'm trying to say is that those folks out there who have felt beat up or have felt that they are not enough, that they're not meeting some standard that somebody in their life has set for them, take heart, because they're not talking about you. They think they are. And even as parents, as we get older, we want to use our experience and we want to tell you, well, you know, when I was a kid and blah, 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 and, you know, well, you know, I wouldn't have done, and all these things that we say and we do. But the problem is the only part I had in the making of my child had to do with my sperm, and it had to do with sexual intercourse. That was my contribution to my children that exist on this planet. That was it. Everything else had to do with how God designed them to become. Not me. They've got part of me. They've got my DNA. They've got traits of me, but they're still they're their own individual person. I mean, we've got ADD kids in our house. My poor wife, Sonia, she's not. So I know we get on her nerves. But all of my kids, we have this ability where we're just like that. We multitask and multifocus and all that. But also, we find joy in like all the weirdest, most bizarre things. Most things that make me laugh have nothing to do with anybody around me. It has to do with what's going on in this goofy, curly head of mine. So, but just a word of encouragement. Oh, and here's another little small thought that I started thinking about. The world has a real bad tendency to put labels on things that are outside the norm. So we're going to take Asperger's, we're going to take autism, we're going to take whatever typical conditions that have to do with someone whose mental capacity or capabilities seem less than or slower than what people think it should be. And people will use all kinds of terms that are derogatory to describe people that are that way. But I want you to think about something for a second. Maybe or has cerebral palsy or is Down syndrome. All these types of things that people will think that there's some mental deficiency with these people. Down syndrome. And obviously that presents physical characteristics. But what I've thought about, and I've thought about this for years, and now I've started to think about it with other people that may have these particular issues or what people consider to be issues. Typically, there's always a smile running around on a face of someone who has Down syndrome. Have you ever wondered why? Because, some people are going to, especially if they think they don't have mental capacity, that they're going to use the terms to say that. Kids have a tendency to do that, and adults will do it too. But have you ever thought that maybe part of their brain and part of their heart and spiritually is not actually here? That it's actually still connected to where they came from? Where their spirit originated from. So maybe they're seeing and hearing and knowing things that you don't know, and it makes them smile. Maybe a child that's autistic that has sensory issues through touch and through everything else, maybe part of them, their spirit, part of them is still connected to what they were originally connected to when prior to coming down to be in their body, to be part of this earth. Maybe part of them is still connected there. And they're seeing and hearing and sensing and knowing things that you don't know. And maybe it's overwhelming because maybe they're seeing or hearing something around you that they don't want to hear or see, but you can't. See, we don't understand human beings. We think we do. We've got psychology and we've got medical sciences and we've got doctors and nurses and we've got all this stuff that we as human beings think we understand. Even scientists think they understand everything in the universe, or some of the things in the universe. They think they understand the body, yet they still don't really understand the body. They everything, because we address everything to a materialistic state, meaning matter, and we scientists and intelligence, or people who are in that category who choose what they could see and what they could touch over what they think is not real, that because you can't see it and you can't touch it, then they have a tendency to discard anything that's outside of their world, their reality, that their physical senses can touch. But see, I don't believe that, because I know we're so much more than this. We are so much more than all of this. the talking, the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, the breathing, the walking, the running, the eating, the laughing, the crying. We're so much more. Those are just physical attributes of a spiritual, emotional state that a person's in. Those are just the conduits to show this is what's going on inside of you. But I do firmly believe, because I've experienced it, that you can connect beyond that, because the Creator has made sure that He's got a purpose of making sure that you get home, and home is where He's located at, whether you believe it or not. Home is where you belong, and this journey on this earth is to get you back to that point, to get you back to where you get back to the truth of who you are. And it's not an easy journey, but I digress. The next time you think someone is not up to par mentally, or call them special, I've autism, and there are some physical, I believe, chemical type of things that contribute to it, that are in the environment. But I also believe that spiritually, there's something going on there. There really is. Now, whether the person can express it or not, that's a whole nother story. But there's something spiritual going on. And other examples of that, if you have kids, and when your kids were little, probably before the age of 6, maybe a little bit older, just depends. They say they have a friend. They say they see monsters. They say they see things in their bedroom, in the house, all this other stuff. And you go, oh, honey, there's no such thing as monsters. There's no this, there's no that. And the kids look at you and they're like, well, okay, because I'm definitely seeing this. But the more you keep telling them, the more they convince themselves that it's not real, that it's just their imaginations. So eventually they get shut down from their initial indoctrination or realization of the reality that's truly there. And then they get robbed of it because it's not considered normal. See, the world dictates what's considered normal, which is sad, because in a man's heart, the Father has made sure that if you truly seek Him, you'll know what's normal, because it'll be flowing from Him. In Christ's day, He was considered a heretic and abnormal, and some called Him demon-possessed. I mean, they had all kinds of names for Him. Those who could partially see the truth, I don't think that all of them saw the truth, because they didn't realize the truth till He was gone and then came back. But sometimes I think most of the times you just got to be you. All the time you got to be you. But that doesn't mean you have to blend in. That doesn't mean you have to be everything and anything that somebody thinks you should be. So if you want to have your hair shaved and wear a mustache, wear weird clothes, if you want to have long hair and wear a suit and shiny shoes, because all that's outward appearance stuff, you've got to figure out who you are. This is a time. This is the time in history where mankind has the opportunity to figure out who he is. Things are changing. They're changing so that you can find out who you are. For too many decades, especially in America, anything outside the norm was squashed. If you were successful, that meant that you had a house, you had a white picket fence, you had 2.5 children, you had a car or 2 cars and a 2-car garage, and you had a median salary of whatever the heck was going on during that time frame. You went to work, you did your 40 hours per week, and then you did your retirement, you did your 20 years, and you were considered a hard-working, successful, blah, blah, blah. And all the time, in your heart, you're miserable. But you did what you're supposed to do. You did your duty as a human being. You go to your grave going, he was a good worker, man. And he was so dedicated to his family. But I wonder if he was miserable, meaning he never knew who he was before he died because he was trying to be what everyone else thought he should be. See, I believe that we're supposed to love no matter what. So if you have a family, you love them. You love them whichever way that you can. And you're not going to be perfect at it, but if you open yourself up to the Father, he'll show you how to love unconditionally like he does, and you'll accept them wherever they're at. If they make mistakes, they make mistakes. Why? Because you made mistakes. So if they make mistakes, you help them through it, you support them, and you move forward. You know, if you show them the love that they need, if you try not to be them inside of them and get mad when they don't do what you want them to do because you're actually mad at yourself because that's something you would do, but you actually start to accept them for who they are, then the miracle starts to happen. This miracle of love starts to flood you and flood them. And the next thing you know, it's just like you guys are together and you just want to be in each other's company. You want to feel the presence of the other person. And how many people in your life do you have that you actually want to feel their presence near you? Not their voice, not what they say, not what they look like, not what they have, but you want to feel their presence near you. How many people do you have in your life that are like that? I think for most people, it's probably a very small list, if there's anyone on it at all. Because first, if you're not comfortable with you being alone with you in your presence, then anyone else that you're around, a couple of things are going to happen. Either you're going to try to rob them of their presence so that you feel good about yourself, meaning being around them, you feel all good, but when you go get away from them, you feel like crap. That means that you're not really good with yourself yet. But when you can be good with yourself and then be around people that have that presence or frequency or whatever you want to call it, vibration, kindred spirit that you have, then there's no robbing that takes place. There's this mutual exchange of love that lifts both of you up. Doesn't drain you, but it lifts both of you up. And that's what you have to look for. So, anyway, to recap, accept who you are. If you're one of them ADD, hyperactive, get on everybody's nerves people, I love you, man. I do. Because I love myself, because I know I do that. But that's okay. I'm me. And being me, that's what I got to do. That's what we all got to do. That doesn't mean that I force myself upon you. That just means that I'm me and I'm comfortable with where I'm at and where I'm at. And I'm not trying to become anything that you want me to be, and I'm not trying to take anything from you to make me feel whole. I don't need anyone around me to make me feel whole. I don't need anyone to complete me. I'm complete because of who I'm in and who's in me. My wife and I have this saying, we've said it for years. Everyone around you should be the icing, not the cake. You get that? The cake is the foundation of the dessert. The icing is the topping that makes the dessert even sweeter and more flavorful and tastier. The cake's good, but the icing is what gives it that take your finger, licking it all off before you even get to the cake, because that's the sweetest part of it. And that's what I want everyone in my life to be, is just the icing. I don't need you to be my cake. I just want to enjoy the icing that's on the cake and cherish it and relish it in my heart and in my mind. So next time you'll see people and next time you're around people, there's no one that's around you that's less than, and there's no one around you that's better than. Because you're you. There's not an individual on this planet you can compare yourself to. You're incomparable. You're invaluable. So there's no one else around you that you can lay some standard up and go, well, that's who I want to be. I don't need an idol. I don't need an example. What I need is to go within and figure out who I am. Talk to my creator, allow him to start working in me to get the stuff out of me that doesn't belong, and then start to progress and move forward. Then everyone becomes the icing. I'm not a vampire. I'm not trying to suck life out of you. So anyway, had to get that out because I had a good walk. Time's getting short here. Don't know how much more time we got left. So I'm just enjoying every little moment we have when I go on my hikes and stuff, and whether it's at dark, which I think it was probably like 85 degrees out there, even though it's pitch black dark out there. And in the morning, it'll probably be about 97 degrees or 100 or whatever it is. So, but I'm very thankful for anyone that listens to this. And I'm very thankful for my friends and my family and acquaintances. I've met some amazing people since I've been here. Amazing people of all nationalities, creeds, races, colors, whatever. They're people, man. I could care less. You know, some of the kindest people I've met since I've been here were from Africa. The Kenyans and the Nairobians. Yep. Sold a guy a bicycle here because I was leaving. Next day, I see the guys that he works with. We're going down the street. They all just wave at me and smile. And I kind of go, okay, hey. I was like, that's kind of weird. But then it kept going. Every time I'd see them, they'd all wave at me and speak to me. I'm like, okay. So I went and talked to them a couple days ago. And I said, hey, I sold Bernard this bicycle. And I noticed you guys just started speaking to me and being really friendly and nice. And I said, I appreciate it. I'm slightly confused. Oh, they go, well, because of what you did with him, because the bike's actually going to his son back in Nairobi. He said, what you did with him, you are now our family. I said, what? He said, yeah, you're now our family. Okay, Americans, take a hint from that. The one thing I did, which was I was just getting rid of a bike, but I knew it was also helping him out because he was going to ship it back to Nairobi. But I didn't think that big of a deal of it. I literally ended up with about 8 people that now consider me family from one act. I posted a video about ripples. Throw the rock in the lake, see the ripple effect. The rock makes the big splash, but the ripples are the bigger effect. That blew me away because you just don't see that. And from what I understand, actually in indigenous cultures, that's quite common, that when you do one for one, you're doing it for all. What? America, what? I'm sorry, European countries, what? We don't do that. In the South, we get neighborly and there's kindnesses and stuff, but that, one small thing, and the next thing you know, anyone and everyone they know is your friend and your family? What? That's freaking amazing. Doesn't that sound like how we were supposed to be designed? How we're supposed to relate to one? If we did that as a people, everywhere, there wouldn't be barely any problems. In the Native American culture, a lot of tribes did exactly that. Even, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think with the Cheyenne, which sounds weird, but if you got captured while fighting them, they wouldn't kill you. You just became part of the tribe and the family. Okay, we ain't gonna kill you, but we are gonna feed you, and we're gonna teach you our ways, and you're gonna be part of the family. Okay. So all I can say is keep watching the news. if you want to believe the hype that people are evil and bad and horrible and despicable and hate each other because of the color of their skin and their race and where they come from, yeah, I'm in a war zone, and I've got German friends, Australian, African, Afghanis. They just want to be friends. So, I don't believe the hype. I believe there's bad people in the world. I believe there's a percentage of people that have a mindset, and I believe there's other people who like to exploit that for whatever agendas they have. But I also know from living in the States and being around a lot of people I was around, I know a lot of people that they're just amazing. And it had nothing to do with anything, color, skin, where they were from, anything. We just talked, and I found out things, and they found out things, and we're like, dude, this is awesome. So take the time. Throw your judge's robe away, your gavel, your prosecuting chair, your jury seat. Just get rid of them. Let somebody who's wiser do that job. And examine yourself first. Heal yourself first. Fix yourself first. So anyway, love you guys. And peace.